Azeez Al-Shaair is officially questionable for this game against the Cowboys. The Niners really are as healthy as they've ever been. They're remarkably healthy for this time of the year, but Azeez Al-Shaair was a really good player for them all year. And this team that they're facing, I mean, it's not a great run game, but it's certainly better than what they just faced in LA last year. I don't know what the hell that was. So what do you think his return would mean, and what do you think his absence would mean as well?
I think it's big either way. To me, Azeez emerged this year as a physical tone setter for this defense. And yeah, that cost him at times. He's a thumper and he doesn't always wrap up. And so you do see the occasional missed tackle. But I believe that hitting Ezekiel Elliott in the mouth like that over and over and over again is going to be the key to shutting down that Dallas offense. And having a full stable of linebackers and some speed on the field, having Dre Greenlaw back is big too, but having Azeez out there is another factor in limiting Tony Pollard. He didn't play last week. He's supposedly pretty close to 100%. Again, I see him as the bigger threat coming out of the backfield, and I do think that the 49ers need to be flying around the field, and I think Azeez is more confident in that regard. He sees ball, gets ball.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that the Niners want Fred Warner's running mate to be super violent because even though Fred Warner is elite, I would call him more like a finesse linebacker. He's in on the spectrum. He's better in coverage. I mean, I think usually linebackers are known for their violence and how they hit, and that's not Warner. That's Al-Shaair, and I think it's interesting. He really asserted himself with that play style this year. And as soon as he got hurt and Dre Greenlaw finally came back, what did Greenlaw do last week? He was out of control, right? He had multiple personal foul penalties, but after the game, a couple of days ago, someone asked Kyle, like, it goes without saying that Dre Greenlaw needs to rein it in a little bit, right? And Kyle's like, no, we love that. That was wonderful. It was a joy to have Dre Greenlaw back. And of course, we don't want those penalties, but it's a fine line. Like, they want that. And I think he got the message like, oh, that's how we're Azeez. You want to play like Azeez? I can play like Azeez. So I think Greenlaw can play like Azeez. He's maybe not quite as good, but it's pretty violent in the last game. We'll see.
Yes, I do think that he responded to that call. I think you're spot on that the 49ers prioritized Al-Shaair because of that physicality. Dre certainly saw that and answered the bell. I mean, it went beyond the whistle,
Foster. But that was the vision for Reuben Foster back in the
right. Fly around, hit, and for Quan Alexander as well.
Exactly.
To lay the wood.
I forgot he was even on the Niners. HBO says, happy birthday, Grant. Man, that was yesterday, but thanks, though. What are your X factors for the Niners on offense and defense? Right now, the X factor on offense is Juwan Jennings. That dude is like no one's covering him because they're so worried about Debo and Ayuk and Kittle. So he's like the new Kendrick Bourne for me. What do you think on offense?
I still got to go with Debo. Like, I don't care that that's who who the defense is keying on. I think he's absolutely what will dictate
That's
success.
Yeah, Debo. And then on defense, how about K'Wan Williams coming back off a layoff?
That would be big. I like Jimmy Ward. I do think it's got to be somebody in the secondary. So I like your pick of K'Wan Williams. I'm going Jimmy Ward. We have to force them into a turnover. I mean, that will be the difference. Because you would imagine the Niners turn the ball over at least once, right? I mean, in most games, that's going to be the case. And they need to even that. They cannot be -1 in the turnover differential.
Jimmy's on a little bit of a Matthew Stafford streak right now, multiple turnovers in a row. So, yeah, I would have to expect it too, especially because – did I say especially? Especially because he hasn't been practicing fully. And, this is like a little bit of rusty Jimmy. Slightly injured, slightly rusty Jimmy. Fully prepared Jimmy is a little mistake prone as well. So, yeah, I'd have to expect it. Parsons has plenty on his plate. Mitchell Kittle, use check. My first play would be a play action wheel route to use check. Okay. My first play would be a run. I'm just saying that. That's a statement. Like, what, Kyle, do you trust your run game? What's your first play going to be? Run or pass? What do you trust? Are you going to be an empty first play of the game? What are you going to do?
I would rather have him run, like you say, but I like that as the first pass play. I like that as a play call.
Because to me, the way I look at the Niners run game is when they're committed to it, like, it's unstoppable.
Yes.
They have answers for everything. Come on. Don't lose your nerve now. Don't lose your nerve now. You're not going to win the other way. You're not. You're 2 and whatever when you have multiple turnovers. You got real lucky last week. That's not just play a mistake-free game on offense. Play that. Do that.
Set the tone.
Scotty says my biggest fear for this game is getting third down to death by Dak. SF had Stafford on 3rd and 7 all first half, and he consistently converted. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like what Dallas can do with the max protection stuff, you don't. All you need is those 2 wide receivers. Maybe a tight end down the middle, Dalton Schultz. But yeah, I'm curious to see if the Niners, if they're susceptible to this.
I just can't help but think of Scotty doesn't know. I don't know why that came to mind, but it did.
AZ Gaiman says, Grant, why didn't they give you all pro? Snubbed. Because they don't really value quality control, which is really an epidemic around the league.
Yeah, it's an undervalued position.
Keneal says, hey, Keneal, is this the first game all year we've had Azeez, Dre, and Fred together? Well, maybe if Azeez plays. Also, we need to run it down their throats. Bosa was robbed for all pro. Max Crosby, man, that's too freaking funny. Yeah, run it down their throats.
Keneal gets it.